How are you?
Oh,
Thank you for joining us.
excellent. Very glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm kind of overwhelmed a little bit by the amount of people that have kind of come up and said, "Yeah, let's do this. Let's have a chat." And it's kind of interesting how people are kind of showing up to this. I'm just going to make a. I'll leave that where it is.
We've all become kind of chat addicts.
Yeah, it's something that Robin Charbit said to me a little while ago, was that it's great to hang out with principals practitioners, because I connected with him once, and I said, I've got no idea why I want to talk to you. And he said, yeah, well, it's kind of nice to catch up with practitioners and hang out together. It's a bit like sometimes, like the antenatal clinic, all the pregnant ladies and gentlemen kind of like to hang out and share stories, as wonderful as they are. Yeah.
Maybe it's a more apt parallel, because perhaps we're pregnant with insight, and we are.
Yeah, maybe there's some metaphor there.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for connecting, Joe. I know very little about you, but I'd just like to kind of I guess paint the picture for what this was. It struck me that there's some wonderful stories that practitioners especially, and likewise people that are kind of affected by the principles, have to share about both their story and kind of how they're affected by it and why they've moved into sharing the principles in the way they do. And that was a great story which people sort of resonate with, and people tend to attract themselves to, and why we kind of connect with people out there too.
Right.
And that's really about people's why. So with the on the bandwagon of Simon Sinek, I thought actually we maybe ought to start with our why. And maybe that will spread a word out there that kind of helps people connect with the principles a little bit better. But hey, let's find out.
You're just to piggyback onto what you just said, I think you're putting out the offer there to consider the why that's been really fruitful in the last couple of days of my own inspiration or motivation, or just clarifying it for myself. It's added another, at least I'm imagining this, it's added another layer of clarity to what it is that I'm doing. So it's a very important, at least it has been for me, an important question to consider.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's really interesting. So what have you come up with so far with your why?
Well, so as I was mulling it over, a couple of things came to mind. I'm currently a member of Michael Neal's Creating the Impossible program. And as I was trying to choose my project, it began toward the end of January. I had also heard something that Jamie Smart had said about his own sort of uber intention that he has, that by some year like 2030 or something like that. And don't quote me, but it was something to the degree of raising consciousness on the planet, or spreading this understanding across the planet. And for whatever reason, that hearing that burrowed into me kind of deeply. And so I started to think about, well, what is it that I like to do? I'm relatively new to the principles world. I've been with it just under 2 years. And I've enjoyed every single day of my life since finding out about this. Whereas enjoying my life was a random event in the past.
Yeah.
And so I've just been kind of randomly been looking for ways to put this in the world. But as I thought about it more deeply, one of the things that occurred to me is like an uber impossible project that would probably be impossible to accomplish, and certainly be impossible to my limited thinking right now in measuring whether any progress had been made. But in August 16th, 2031, I'll be 75. And by then, it would
August
be
16th. That's good. Mine's the day after.
Oh, wow. We're fellow Leos. I like to tell people that I'm a Leo when they ask my sign, and our characteristic is we don't believe in astrology. But
Well, I'm sorry, I interrupted your flow there.
oh, that's a,
oh my God.
by that date, wouldn't it be fun to have eliminated victimhood consciousness in Los Angeles County, here where I live? So if that were the impossible goal, then, you know, what sort of steps, you know, might be possible avenues to try? Now, a lot of these things are things I'm doing already, but it's starting to put just a little bit of a shape on it for myself. Like, it seems like it would be important to bring this understanding to school kids. And then probably hand in hand with that, the people responsible for educating these school kids. So that's one area. And then there's the fact that I live in Los Angeles, which is sort of a company town for the entertainment industry. And I've dabbled in that area quite a bit myself. That's what brought me out here years ago from Chicago. And I have friends and contacts in the industry. And little by little, I've been sharing principles with them to varying degrees of, runs a full spectrum from disinterested to mildly curious. Yeah. and so that's an important area. And then there would be all the fill in the cracks that, you know, open to things that would show up that would make sense toward this along the way that I'm not seeing right now. We do have a large homeless population here in Los Angeles, and so maybe something with community outreach. I've done some work in prisons in the state, and I recently, just a few days ago, I went on a tour of the downtown jail facility here in Los Angeles, which was really an eye-opening place, and a place that looks to me like if some light could be shed there, that would go toward changing or bring some relief to a suffering area of the city. So I imagine that the ideas that would have come to me anyways are going to come to me, but somehow in my mind, having them a little bit pointed toward this goal, I'm finding some juice. I'm finding some excitement, some inspiration from that right now.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. So it's really interesting that you're kind of coming up with all sorts of opportunities that strike you, that move you.
Yeah.
And clearly there are hundreds and hundreds of good causes out there that are crying for this sort of insight, or this sort of understanding that will help every community. It's really interesting that for me also that I've got likewise a big spectrum of places that I'm either focusing on or dabbling with, one of the two, I don't know. Likewise, the schools looks like an obvious choice. Why would you not help children recognize this before they get to a place where kind of outside in looks like the better option? Well, yeah. And there are a few people out there that are doing a lot with schools, and likewise with the prison service as well. At some time I'm going to be talking to Jacqueline Howes, and she's doing a lot with the prison service over here in the UK. And, you know, maybe you've connected with in this, roughly where you are, just a little bit up the coast, actually, in the Bay Area.
Kathy Casey.
Kathy, of course. Yeah, that's where I was going. And some amazing things are happening in that space.
Absolutely.
That's good. So do you have a hot favorite right now?
A hot favorite?
Yeah.
Well, as long as not to be too flippant, as long as I stay in the realm of human beings, that seems to be the species I'm enjoying focusing on.
Yeah. Yeah, I sometimes share it with Eva, my dog, and she hasn't got it at all. although
or they just live in it, and they just can't communicate.
Well, that's true. I think that she's more grounded than any of us.
They're certainly more present, aren't they?
Yeah, sure.
I don't know. I've been speaking to high school kids as part of this. There's a thing in Los Angeles called the Youth Business Alliance, and they have people from various careers come in and talk to this whole network of, I don't know if you have the same thing in the UK, charter schools. These are privately run schools that are somehow connected to the public school system. And I know public and private mean different things, maybe opposite things. But so there's a network of schools that are largely in economically underserved areas and these are for kids who are showing some academic promise. And people from various different careers go in and speak to the kids about their careers, try to give them ideas of career choices.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I've been, and it's nice. They have a website. Once you're in their system, you could just go and select schools that you want to talk to based on your open schedule and logistically if you can get there in time. So I've been a little subversive about it. I've been using it as a Trojan horse to go in. I tell them I'm a transformational life coach, or what I call a state of mind coach. And for maybe 60 seconds, I will talk about the profession of coach and the fact that under that umbrella, there are so many variations that would be difficult to say, you know, a coach does X, Y, and Z. But if it's all right with you, I'd like to share some of the points that I share with people that I work with. And even if you understand them a little bit, your life will immediately improve over what it is right now, and you'll have an edge over people who don't understand this. Would that be of interest to you? No, they haven't yet said no when I put that out there.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, although I may fine tune your life will get better, because obviously we're not teaching self-improvement, but it's an entree into the discussion. And then after that, I largely share the points that the insight principles people you mentioned, Robin, make, what they call the skinny, about the 2 points, that the mind only works in one direction from the inside out, and that we're designed for success. Although I may say we're designed, we have an unlimited source of new thought in our lives. And then I work on those points, and it's very interactive. I have an hour presentation. It goes really fast with the interaction. And then we take a nice picture. Sometimes I get a video of the experience, and I always leave feeling really satisfied. So I know that's my own thinking, but it's really it feels like balm to my inner self.
That's really good.
Yeah. And what I like is the fact that how unfiltered these kids are still in high school, and how they do seem to absorb it. And there's a point very quickly in most of the talks where it gets really quiet. It could be 20, 30 kids in a classroom. And not that they were unruly. I mean, this is a project that they signed up for, having people come in. So they're not bouncing off the walls like some out of control inner city classrooms. But still, there's a shift in the room, and it becomes very, very quiet. And then I often get like an email from 1 or 2 or 3 of the students afterwards. Perhaps they ask them to write, to give some feedback. But the feedback comes in, and it seems like something drops for them, and that's really satisfying.
Yeah, I would like the opportunity to work with kids myself, and I am connecting with our local school. So maybe we'll talk another time on how you're approaching that, or how you're finding that with the tutors and stuff. But I'm connected a little bit with Stephanie Fox, who's doing a kind of one solution type.
Yes, a classmate from Michael Neal's Super Coach last year.
Okay, so were you on that as well?
I was in Super Coach last year, yeah.
Oh, well done. Well
and
done.
I was with her at One Solution in Oslo last year, too.
Oh, fab. All right, well, you know all about it then, but I know that she's doing this work with some children in Israel, and I'm helping her a little bit construct the course, but we were having a chat a little while ago, and she was saying that they're getting so much. I'm curious. She was curious about kind of where to take it, because they were kind of, well, yeah, exactly. Well, of course that's how it works. Thanks for confirming. And okay, let's move on. What else you got? She's all right. Well, where else should we go?
Yeah, I had a similar experience. Somebody who I know asked me to work with their 11-year-old son, and very, very sweet, very nice kid. In the first few moments, I explained about how our experience comes from thought and not from circumstances. He goes, "Oh, wow, cool. I never knew that." And then just to be sure, I asked him to tell me in his own words what he got from that. And he explained it perfectly. Like, if he went to school and he used to be afraid of somebody, now he would know it's not coming from that person. It's coming from his thinking. Wow, great. I never knew it. And then we had nothing to talk about, and we had 3 more sessions to go. I was high up in my head for the rest of the 3 sessions, because, that's the thing that I could teach clearly that I know to be true. And if somebody nails it.
Yeah. That's really interesting. I have a current client who, and he's I don't know, gentleman of about 45, mid 40s, late 40s, and we had a really, really simple conversation. It was mostly intake, and I just said him a couple of words to him, and he suddenly just almost fell over himself with just observations. Oh my God! Well, that changes everything. And he saw all of the implications almost instantly. I thought, well, that was neat. So there's no age limit to this. Sometimes, people do have a lot of stuff in their way, but it can fall away really, really, really quickly. Really quickly.
Yeah.
It's really
it's a fun mystery, never knowing which of the popcorn kernels are gonna.
Yeah. Who knows? It's quite astounding. Likewise, I wish I could have taken a picture of him suddenly changing. His whole demeanor changed. Okay. So, Joel, where did you come across the principles first, and what drew you to it?
All good questions. I somehow went on this later in life journey of going back to grad school a few years ago for a master's degree in something called spiritual psychology.
At Santa Monica?
You know about it. Okay, I guess it's legendary throughout the world. Yeah, Santa Monica. Yeah. And boy, it was terrific at the time. It was this wonderfully loving class of maybe about 175 people or so who would come in once a month from all over, a lot from LA, but a lot from around the United States, and then people from Canada, Dubai, Switzerland.
Wow.
And this class of people just kind of opened up to unconditional loving and this wonderful bonding amongst one another. And it was a terrific 2-year experience. And after that, I wanted to take what I knew to help people. Like I'd had a long conversation with a friend of mine who wasn't in that field, and she was struggling with a big issue. And we had a lot of talks, and she used some of the stuff that I knew from the teachings of spiritual psychology to handle a situation that was challenging to her. And I remember her calling me from the parking lot after having a challenging conversation with somebody, ecstatic at how well it went from the things that I'd shared with her. And so I thought, I don't know what I want to do when I grow up, quote unquote. Well, whatever it is from this point on, I would like it to include this kind of experience. I would like this to be the primary experience of it. So that's the first time that the idea of coaching even entered my consciousness. Because before, a coach to me was just somebody in a dumpy gray sweatshirt with a clipboard, yelling at people to do push-ups that he probably couldn't do himself. But now this started to look interesting, and it turned out that the university that I just graduated from, every other year they were offering a professional coaching program. So I signed up for that. And in the program, one of the 3 instructors was a visiting instructor, Steve Chandler, who's well known as a coach.
Yeah.
The community know him very well. So Steve would come every other month for a day, and included in his highly entertaining presentation was often a video of somebody coaching, like, so we can get different flavors of like or underscore points he was making. So one time he visited and he showed us a lengthy video from Dickon Bettinger, relating the story about working with this young girl who everybody had given up on when he was a school psychologist. This girl, he called her Joey in the video. And it's a lovely thing. It's on YouTube. It's certainly worth watching if any of the people watching this haven't seen it. But it made a big impact on me. I didn't know that he was coaching for any sort of understanding or platform. It was just the beautiful description of the unconditional loving and then not willing to see the damage in this child that other people seem to have seen. So that stuck with me. And I think Steve Chandler mentioned the term 3 principles. He didn't say much about it. I wrote it in my notes. I meant to look it up later. I forgot about it. And the next time he visited, he showed us a video of Michael Neal's TEDx talk, Why Aren't We Awesomer? Which I had actually seen it a little bit prior to that, but now he's showing it again, and I'm starting to connect the dots a little bit. And shortly after that class, within a week or two, it just so happened that Michael and Dickon had an event in Santa Monica. And since I enjoyed both of them so much, it seemed a no-brainer that I should go attend that event. And I did, and my life has not been the same since.
That's cool.
It was very cool. I couldn't get my head around what was being talked about. It felt vital. And I noticed that I felt better at the end of the day than when I came in. And I made some nice friends in the seminar for the day. And one of them from the UK, a fellow named Win Morgan.
Oh yeah, I know Win.
Yeah. So he was very gregarious, and he introduced himself to me before the actual workshop started, and we talked on and off throughout the day. And turned out he was staying in town an extra day, and we had lunch the following day, and that helped my experience of things deepen a little bit. And then he suggested that I talk to somebody who was working with Michael at the time, a woman named Sarah Murrah. Mm-hmm. And the next day, that was a Monday, I had an hour-long Skype chat with Sarah. And all I noticed was there was this powerfully, solidly good feeling inside of me. And Sarah suggested some links of some other stuff Michael was doing, stuff I found on YouTube. I started clicking, and when you go on YouTube, you get that rundown of other people doing stuff that seems to be related. So now I'm off to the races. I'm looking at this teacher and that teacher and finding things out. And I am feeling so good, and I can't believe that just knowing something different in my head can be producing a feeling that is so solid. Mm. And then a few days are going by, and it's sustaining itself. There's no drop off. And I'm getting out of bed happy. And not that I walked around like tremendously unhappy, but by comparison, it seemed like I had crossed the Rubicon from hell to this land of equanimity. And I was already coaching a few people. I started early on in my coaching class, coaching clients to gain experience as I was in the process of doing it. And I had a client who lived out of town, and we were working on a relationship problem that he was experiencing. And we attacked it from this end 1 month, and we attacked it 1 week, and another end the next week, and another week. And we were making incremental progress, and you know, we were developing a really nice connection. But now this week, all I know to tell him is that I had this amazing experience, and the only thing I could really explain is that our feelings come from our thoughts and not from the circumstances. And I do my best in that hour to just clarify what I gained from understanding that. That's fine. Well, a week later, we had our next call, and we're working just by phone, not by Skype. The moment he says hello, the hair stands up on the back of my neck, because there's something in the quality of his voice that says something big has changed. I said, how's it going? He goes, oh, great. Me and his significant other at the time, we're just packing. We're going away on this romantic trip and blah, 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 blah. And it was almost as if there was no trace of remembering that he'd had a problem with this person that was deeply troubling to him for quite some time. So we had a nice, friendly chat for the rest of our hour, and then that was the day that we were supposed to talk about whether we were going to continue on and do more sessions, but he really didn't see that he had anything to work on, and that was the end. So I thought, A, this stuff has a lot of power, and B, maybe I need a new business model. Because maybe now my goal isn't, like they were sort of implying in coaching class, you know, how to continually keep your clients. You know, maybe it's like communicate this understanding, let it do its magic, and then go share it with other people. And so, yeah, a lot of light bulbs started going off, and I just started reading everything I get my hands on, watching every last video I could watch, and enjoying the different flavors of the understanding as it was communicated by people of various, you know, people coming from various cultures or different age levels or different amount of their understanding. And yet, even though the package around it was coming different and very authentically from that person, there was a consistent inner truth that was pinging something inside of me every time I heard it. And it very quickly seemed to me that, gosh, every single story that I see in the evening news on television is just a variation of the same story. And this seems to be the resolution for that story. You know, every last thing that they reported was either a person or a group of people who thought that other people or circumstances needed to change, or they were not going to be okay. And they were willing to, even if it came to it, they would give up their lives in order to change that outer circumstance or other people's behavior in order to rectify things so they could be okay. And I thought, wow, my life from this point on is I want to put this in the world.
Yeah. There comes a point when you do realize it impacts everything, you know, everything at a human reality level. The realization that, you know, my reality of you comes from me. And when you realize that, if that was known everywhere, I'd wonder what they'd report on. You know, what would there be to report on? Today's another nice day. You know, it's a utopia maybe that I don't know. It's we'll keep on searching for, but I think that it's within people's grasp with this understanding.
Oh, sure it is. I mean, and I'm sure you've had the experience, and most of the people watching have, language starts to sort of break down because encoded in the very understanding itself is the notion that it's a utopia.
Yeah.
You know, peace is actually just a thing that's most of the international news, especially, are people trying to find peace or come to an accord on peace out there or create peace somewhere. And it seems already flawed in the thinking from that approach in a way, because no, we are peace. We're just vessels of peace, every one of us. It's there, it's a freestanding condition. And if each one of us seeking it just knew that, there wouldn't be the conflict that we were trying to seek peace over.
Yeah, I can see in you that this has touched you in a way that is quite profound, and you're really articulate with it. I really love that. You got some great connection and great grounding, I can see.
I appreciate that. Of course, as soon as I consider that, then I think the technical term is my own mishigas starts to rise and go, no, I need more grounding.
Let it go.
I'm standing on very shallow roots, and I could be toppled. So.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it feels that way. Yeah. That's really cool. What a wonderful story. That's a really, really great story. You've mixed in there a lot of your how as well, to a point, with some of the conversations you've had. But I'm curious about whether you have, or whether you could construct a how in terms of kind of how you do what you do.
Well, that would be useful to both of us. If I could, sort of articulate it as a clear path. I just kind of get up each day with a sense of, what's there, what opportunities might be there. I did a little bit of work with Mark Howard a little while back, and he suggested getting involved in my local Chamber of Commerce. So I've done that with 2 local ones, and that's been great. I've been networking with people. One of them has an education committee that meets the first Friday morning of every month during the school year. And there's about 26 schools in the area that are connected in the what you would call the head teacher, I guess, or the headmaster, the principal, DA, comes to this meeting. And by attending it, I got to do a presentation on the principles for the principals.
Yeah.
A little while back. And then recently, one of my clients was able to assist in getting some foundational funding, a modest amount, to run a teacher's freedom from stress and inner resiliency workshop that I'm going to do with one of the schools that I met the principal at through this committee. I just had a great chat in his office last week, and I was really grateful that he had allowed us to pilot the program in his school. And then I was struck by something he said. Well, I think this will really be great for my staff, and I really appreciated every time you spoke up in our committee meeting, how calming your presence was, or when you gave your presentation. I thought, oh, this is going to be valuable for the teachers. So I found it really moving. I hadn't known that I was a calming presence up until recently, so I could really see the efficacy of the principles at work in my own. But I'm for right now, the how is to explore this type of activity more. it's just, I'm going to stay open to all opportunities that present themselves, but I want to gently point my eyeballs towards more opportunities like this, like helping teachers understand this, and also talking to students to try to make whatever's to happen from that.
Yeah.
You know, and also open to the fact that maybe on the way to a school, or somebody who attends one of these has a completely different opportunity that has nothing to do with schools, and be ready to turn on a dime and do that as well. But I also have a few pro bono things that are already in the works that I'm doing, like every other week. I teach like a life skills workshop, which is all just principles based, at this we call it transitional village. It's for people who were formerly homeless, who are living in residence on the way to living on their own outside of the institution.
Yeah, that's a great thing to do.
For about a year, this other person here in Los Angeles, Margot Smith, was doing it, but it was a long haul for her. It happens to be close to where I live, so I'm taking over the activity for her. I've done a couple of them already. And I also want to look into, while I was at the Men's Central Jail on a tour last week, somebody there mentioned the idea that they had a peace education program for people who are starting to transition out of jail. So I got a lead on a person that I could talk to there about possibly coming down and doing a once a week class demo.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's you're pointing to kind of what often turns up in terms of coaches that I come across, or practitioners that I come across, and myself as well, is that opportunities just show up, and you just pick them up, and if you like the taste of them, then you go along that road, and if you don't, then there's always another opportunity. And this one here, for instance, I thought of a couple of weeks ago. I bought myself a microphone and thought, well, I wonder how this is going to work, and so just put the post up there and see what happened. I had nothing on whether it was going to fly or not, nothing on it at all. One or two people did kind of show up and said, yeah, let's do that, and now we're doing it. And every single thing that I'm doing right now kind of shows up as a, let's just do that. And it's I remember Michael talking about it when I did Supercoach in 2012. He said, wisdom comes to you like, you're walking through the door and it kind of bangs you on the back of the head as you're walking through. and it's just, it's just like that. It's just like that. You're just doing it all of a sudden.
Yes. In fact, if you do it a lot, you can become concussed with opportunity.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you can become concussed with opportunity, and then you've got some sort of physical constraints. Well, let's pick this one and see what that goes. And yeah, it's true. It's true.
This is, at least in my my random or small sample of opportunity, or my small time container of experience with the principles. This is a perfect exploration for me, as one who has been a person addicted to the random life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really suits my inability to not need to plan too much of anything.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. I'm doing a little bit of a book right now, and I'm writing or trying to write a book. Planning's done, but the book is all about entrepreneurs, and one of their wonderful traits is that they don't tend to plan much. And the day I kind of picked up the principle was the day I stopped planning as well. And I have no lists, I have no plans. My goal really is to talk to interesting people, and that's it. That's kind of the business plan. Let's just talk to interesting people and see what happens. And it kind of works. It kind of works. Um,
that excites me on several levels. Just the idea of the nature of the project itself as you express it, and also the career that I've transitioned from into being a coach is I'm a book editor and have been for years, book and publication editor.
Yeah.
And so I've been working with some people. There's another avenue for putting the principles in the world. I'm helping people craft their words.
Yeah, I did see the post the other day, so that's a great thing to do. You do that one, and that in itself, interestingly, I'm sure Michael would have shared that if you're an editor, then be an editor, but with the principles, and that alone will change your life. I did think of going back to project management with the principles, but that didn't feel right anymore. Although there's some insight in that too. There's some insight. So at a party, then, when someone rocks up and says, "What do you do?" What do you say?
Well, not all my paralyzed. What do I say? It's like I'm trying to remember the last time I've been to a party. I think I've been vigorously resisting having an elevator pitch.
Good.
Good. In fact, I think one of life's great mysteries is why do they call it an elevator when it's going down? But my answer is usually in the moment with the person based on what I'm sensing from them and what it is that they're actually asking me. This is good. I had one at my fingertips a while back, and nobody's asked recently, so I've kind of let go of it. I tell them that I'm a state of mind coach because state of mind seems to be the key ingredient in any successful endeavor, whether it's between two or more people or even just something a person's doing by themselves. But even that lately, I've had some thinking about. I've had several conversations with Garrett Kramer, and he's helped me see that there's a way you can say that and completely take people off track. Because I don't want to phrase it to them like, oh, whatever state of mind they're in, there's a better state of mind they need to be in order for them to be okay.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you asked the question. I think this bears some more reflection on my part. I'm wondering if there are some things that you could say as a Trojan horse to getting conversation going, and then kind of explain what you really mean down the line.
Yeah. I'd look in that direction, actually. I'm not sure it's a Trojan horse, but more of a, because the interesting thing, considering the what, for me, it changes every day. And I post something up that for the moment, that's, if I was to try and push something into today, that's what it looks like. And like you say, in every conversation that you have with somebody that asks that question, I kind of have this kind of wry smile inside, considering, well, I wonder what's going to show up today with what I'm going to say, and sometimes I'm tired enough just to say, well, I coach people. and other times, I get a little bit mysterious with myself and say, well, I help businesses do more and people succeed. And or I might say simply I help people. I help fix people's stuff. That sometimes creates the conversation too. But it's kind of not Trojan, but it's a little bit both truthful and also there, not to say that I'm a coach.
Yeah, the term, at least as how I'm approaching things, I think the term is a little bit inaccurate. Although I have a very nice card I made up before I realized I didn't need a fancy card that says coach nicely on one side.
Coach.
People think I work for the handbag company, which is an interesting conversation. But I'm not so much like a helping somebody accomplish a goal coach, although we can certainly explore that. It's more, I can't put pointer on a business card. Because people would say, well, I'm looking for a poodle. Yeah, they're really, I'm not going to say there isn't a good way to term what it is that I do. I just think that it's a nice thing to gently reflect on regularly.
Yeah. True. And I get much the same answer from everyone I talk to. It's the most peculiar thing that I can't say, well, I'm a computer scientist, or I'm a project manager, or I'm a mechanic, or whatever. But hey, it's lovely.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a way to turn the tables on people when they ask that and say, what is it that you do? And they'll say, well, what is it that you think would most make your life better than it is right now? And then when they say, oh, I do that.
That's superb. I like that a lot. That really works. That really works.
Yeah. I help people see how to do exactly what it is that you just were in search of.
That's interesting. Did you just think that up? Did that just come to you? That's brilliant. Well, thank you. I might steal it.
After you wrote it, we'll know how it went.
Oh, superb. Well, thank you so much for that, Joe. I'm going to draw this to a close. We've been doing about 45 minutes or more now.
Oh my gosh.
How can people get hold of you?
Best way is to email me, the Draz, THEDRAZ @mac.com.
Cool.
I ostensibly have a website, but it really needs some attention. So I wouldn't point them there just yet, but it's joeldrazner.com. Or they could message me on Facebook. Well,
hopefully this will be around for posterity. So one day it will be in a place where you are happy with it. So
it will.
Joel, say again, Joel.
joeldrazner.com.
Okay. All right. Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Excellent. Joel, thank you for such an entertaining 3/4 of an hour, 50 minutes now. That was delightful. I wish you so much well, and we'll be in touch again, if not about working in schools, certainly about editing and stuff, because there's a book coming.
Lovely. It's been a real treat. It's so great to meet you, Martin.
Likewise. And should you bump into any of the crowd, say hi from me. The Super Coach crowd.
They'll be in town next week, and actually I'm doing a bi-monthly library talk, and some of them may be coming to support me that evening. So
brilliant. Okay, all right. Well, have a good one. We'll catch up soon. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Martin.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.